Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. Now, we've been working our way through Handel's orchestral music. We've done the water music. We've done the Concerti Grossi Opus 6, some recordings on period instruments, some on modern instruments, because all that matters is that they be on great sounding instruments, right? And today we're talking about the Concerti Grossi Opus 3, which are very, very different from Opus 6. Opus 6 were Handel's grand concertos. There are 12 of them, and he took great care in writing and publishing them. Opus 3, he had no hand in at all. In fact, some of it might not even be by Handel. In fact, some of it might not be by anybody knows about it. It might be by Handel's publisher. We think now they've sort of sorted out, what ought to be there and what is there and how it works. But these concerti were assembled from all kinds of miscellaneous movements and things that Handel, hopefully Handel, cobbled together and may have actually at one point given his imprimatur to. We don't know. We just don't know. But the music's wonderful. Really, if it's by Handel, it doesn't make any difference what order it's in or how he arranged it. Actually, from a formal point of view, these are much simpler than Opus 6 because there are 6 of them. Yes. 4 of them are in 4 movements. Number 5 is in 5 movements, and number 6 is in 3 movements. So they're all much more concerto-like on the surface than some of Handel's other concerti. Maybe that's why there's a question as to if they're really by Handel, because if it was really by Handel, they would be totally improvisational in the way they're all assembled and put together, because Handel had no rule but his own supernatural sense of balance and shape and contrast, which was absolutely unfailing. I mean, it was unbelievable that way. And he never resorted to sort of formal strictures to try and compensate for a lack of improvisatory freedom or inspiration of the moment, seemingly anyway. Even when he was stealing music from all over the place. My God, he was an interesting person. He really was. I mean, talk about composers I would really like to have lunch with and have a big conversation about how their compositional process worked. Handel has got to be really high on the list, because he was like a musical word processor. It's like he just fed everything into him, and out came something like even more wonderful than what went in. It's kind of like unprecedentedly amazing. Anyway, these concerti are gorgeous. And I think Concerto Copenhagen with Lars Ulrik Mortensen on CPO is just amazing in this music. Mortensen is one of the great Baroque stylists out there. He really is. These are on period instruments. They sound wonderful. The performances breathe and sing. They're just beautifully, beautifully shaped. They're warm and humane and expressive. And, he's done some wonderful Bach, too. I mean, usually with small forces. But my goodness, does he know how to get his people to play and express their joy in music making, which you don't always hear with, period instrument groups. Sometimes they sound like they're just out to, do a penance and make us suffer. Well, not here, especially not in Handel. Because with Handel, you have to just let it all hang out. And it's all got to flow, and it really does. It's funny how, there's a tendency, of course, to choose English groups and English artists in this music because, of course, Handel was in England, and they sort of, try to monopolize it. So all of the English groups have done these Concerti Grossi, or most of them have. But you're not going to find a better version than these. You really ain't. It's that simple. And these are very colorful concerti. I mean, you've got flutes and recorders and bassoons, and oboes, and, you've got organ and harpsichord continuo. I mean, there's great richness of sound, which you always have with Handel, and which you always must have with Handel, because he was a colorist at a time when most composers were not. I mean, they were contrapuntists. Bach was not a colorist. I mean, he was many other things, but a colorist, no. Handel, yes. And one of the reasons these are as popular as they are, and we tolerate the fact that they had a somewhat ramshackle construction and iffy history, is that feeling for color is always evident in Handel's writing, and it's evident in these performances, which are beautifully engineered. Absolutely lovely. I mean, I've talked about this disc before, as I have many of the discs in this series. So if you didn't get it the first time around, don't pass it up again. I wish he would do Opus 6. I really do, and do some more of this stuff. He doesn't make that many recordings. He hasn't had as much exposure as some of the other, Baroque fanboys and famous people and whatnot. But boy, does he deserve it. It's first-rate music making by any standard. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.